of Ukraine. Well, let's continue the conversation with Commodore Kunle Olawunmi, who's the head of the Criminology and Security Studies Department at Chrisland University, Abeokuta. Well, thank you very much, Commodore, for staying with us on the program. Essentially, we've heard different views this morning. First, the Mexican president, who says that, you know what, shipping guns, ammunitions, and all of that to Ukraine will only increase the body counts, the casualty rates. We've also heard from UNICEF this morning saying there should be some form of peace talks, at least for the children who are major casualty in all of this. But on the flip side, we've seen NATO, particularly the Polish Prime Minister, saying that NATO needs to do more, shipping arms and all of that to Ukraine. In fact, the Ukraine government has even given a wish list, as it were, of the things they need. So looking at all of these sides to the story, I wonder what you make of it.
Thank you very much for having me. For most of us that have been following the Ukrainian...
Please go ahead, Commodore, I can hear you.
Yeah, for most of us that have been following the Ukrainian problems, we don't really understand the concept of warfare. Sometimes we mix, warfare with battle successes or theater operations. The war in Ukraine is actually beyond those scale. That's why you are seeing countries like Mexico, European Union, Turkey having, jostling for recognitions and trying to shape their alliances. The end of this conflict is going to teach us one lesson, that the world is still in a primitive stage. Because this war is actually unnecessary, but there are also benefits, and that's what people don't know. Whatever Mexico is saying, whatever the EUs are doing, and whatever Turkey is doing, if you look deeply, you will see that everybody is jostling for how best they can benefit from this crisis. If you look at the American antecedents in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya, countries go to war for the benefits. One of the benefits of warfare is that it creates employment. And people may not know that. If you want to create employment at home, war economy is one of the ways to do that. The other thing is that war generates additional economic activities. And most importantly, war actually generates the development of new technologies as well, which normally filter through other industries. For instance, Lockheed Martin, which is an American company, has sold more than 58.2 billion weapons in few weeks of this war, even though there are effects which all of us are concerned, like refugee crisis, the shake-up in the global relationship, especially with NATO. Look at Finland and Sweden also trying to just look for advantage. And the thing that worries Africans, for me, is the rise in food prices and inflation. And look at the fuel crisis that we're going through. So for me, anytime we discuss Ukraine, people try to analyze them from the tactical level. Ukrainian debacle is beyond what we are seeing. It's going to be a long haul. The Americans are taking advantage of this. The European Union, they are taking advantage of this. But the people that are going to suffer are the Ukrainians themselves.
And perhaps that's even more reiterated by the statement from the UNICEF Regional Director for Europe and Central Asia, saying, the number of children displaced is staggering. And of course, this is going on and on, talking about children being severely traumatized and the fact that a lot of them have essentially dropped out from school. So imagine what that will do to the nation in 10, 20 years. But I noted from the Mexican president's statement that there wasn't quite a solution put forward. Yes, he did say that, well, there's no point shipping guns and all of that. It would only cause the casualty figures to rise. But it looks like a lot of people are speaking about what they don't want to be done, but what should be done has been the question. So do you think that we're just going round the elephant in the room and not touching on the solution to this crisis itself?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Usually we look at the immediate effect, you know, and that's why most of the pundits that comes to discuss this, they are fixated with the effect. That's the immediate effect of this war. What is the solution? The solution lies with the deep state. Imagine what the Russians are asking for. They are asking for things that are impossible. For example, they are saying that Ukrainians should be neutral. They are talking about disarmament. If you look at the Budapest memorandum that actually, you know, removed the nuclear facilities from Ukrainian soil effectively, what has that actually gotten us to? All those countries that participated in the Budapest memorandum, they are nowhere to be found now supporting Ukraine. You understand? Now, the Russians are also asking for security guarantee. What do you mean by security guarantee? They are asking for denazification. Look at the Azov battalion. They have been neutralized effectively. How can you be asking for denazification within a country? Then they're also talking about, for example, suppression of Russian language. And they are claiming to the Donbass region and the two breakaway republics. Let me tell you, this is going to be a long haul because there's no immediate solution. In negotiation, you cannot begin to ask for what is impossible. If Russia continue on this thread, then we're going to have a situation in our hand that's going to lead to another iron curtain. The Cold War is just beginning. And my challenge or my concern is the position of China, especially as it has to do with Taiwan. So if this thing continues to expand in scope, the people that are going to suffer are majority the poor people, the children, the aged. The deep state I mentioned earlier sometimes do things like this because this is what makes them rich. This is what makes them to have more money. But we should continue to look at the problem that this is causing for humanity. And they should tell Putin, if they can get across to him that whatever he's doing is going down in history. People are going to study what he has done, and they're going to put him in the position of Stalin. I believe that the West also should stop taking advantage and making money from this war and try to put an end to it. But I want to predict the quick fix to this challenge today, if Russia implode from within, and I think that is what the CIA and other big intelligence organizations should be focusing on. This war cannot end except Russia implode from within. A few hours ago, there was an explosion very close to Moscow. People are beginning to act within Russia. And I think this is going to be a quick fix. That's to answer your question. How do we end this? It's for them to focus on the implosion of Russia from within.
So you're supporting the shipment of more arms to Ukraine, I mean supporting the view of the Polish Prime Minister and others, as opposed to the view of the Mexican president who says, well, let's stop with the shipment.
I think I want to support the Mexicans. But you know, the Mexican president does not understand that that's what we call the war economy. I just mentioned that Lockheed Martin's, a US-based company, has made about $58 billion within a short time. So Mexico does not understand that people are making money from this, and people are actually generating employment from this, and people are actually, you know, trying to develop new technologies from this and testing their weapons. This cannot really stop. Well, my opinion is that shipping of more weapons to that theater is going to actually do two things. It's going to escalate. It's going to prolong the war. However, it's going to enrich a lot of countries as well.
Oh dear. I'm glad you pointed that out. And back to one of the points you made earlier, Commodore, that, you know, this war is essentially showing the world that it's still at a primitive stage. And I find that quite interesting because, if anything, you'll hear that this is the most advanced stage of humanity in terms of technology, science, and all of that. So I think that's instructive to hold that statement you made. But do you see a chance for perhaps a peace talks, a successful peace talks? Because we've seen the breakdown of successive peace meetings. But do you still see a chance that maybe that might be the solution we're looking for?
Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance if the deep state will stop profiteering from what is going on. We have to look 30,000 feet. It's not about what is going on the ground. The deep state should try to stop profiteering from this. But let me also try to quote Kissinger. Kissinger said that for peace to return to the eastern part of Ukraine, the Ukrainians should try to concede the Donbas region and Crimea. I want to agree with him. If you want to have a safe, face-saving program for Putin, you should allow him to have the 20% that he has already taken and try to negotiate from that position. That way, Putin will come out of this crisis as the winner, because the Russian-speaking population in the east and almost 70% Russian-speaking population in Crimea definitely will be happy for that, and I think Russia will be happy with that status quo. So there's a way out.
So apparently, Commodore, you're saying that not all of the demands of Russia is impossible, because essentially earlier on you said Russia is asking for impossible things. So this one is possible, at least.
Yeah, in 2010, I was in National Defense College, and we went for a strategic tour of Ukraine. We did a profiling of their military and also the people. I lecture strategic culture in the university. The culture, the challenge is going to be the culture of the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are very hard people, and they will not want to concede any territory to Russians. But this is, for me, the way out, because the population in that place, actually, they are pro-Russian. So it's a way to, I think, to allow them, the Russians, to have 20% part they are occupying now, and try to draw another boundary for the Ukrainians. In negotiation, I did negotiation at Harvard. Usually what countries do is to bring up to the table an impossible criteria. They know they cannot achieve it, but they bring it up, and you start negotiating from a very difficult position until you get to that point where they really want. I think what the Russian wants is just to have that area, the Donbas region and the Crimea, and perhaps the Black Sea. That's going to be a tough call for you to allow them to have the Black Sea. But I think the peace that is possible right now is for them to negotiate, for them to have what they have now, and let Ukrainians lick their wounds, losing the 20% of their territory.
I think in the negotiations, that's called the door-in-the-face technique, essentially. Come with the huge one, and then you try to step it down. But on a final note, Commodore, there are rumors that the strength of Russia might be waning, flagging. What's your take on that as we wind down?
Of course, that's what the West wants. During the Cold War, you see that the Americans kept on pushing the boundaries. Even after they have decapitated the Soviet Union, they kept on pushing the boundary. I think the next phase now is to weaken Russia. And no doubt, this is going to weaken Russia economically, militarily, and by the time they start imploding from within, in the next 5 years, let me see, in the next 10 years, Russia is going to actually go down maybe to the either about 4th position in the global power index. After China, that is going to emerge from this, they're going to benefit from this. They're going to emerge, number 1, followed by the European Union, then followed by the United States, and I think Russia is going to go to number 4.
Quite interesting prediction, but we'd like to thank you so much, Commodore Kunle Olawunmi, who's the head of the Criminology and Security Studies Department in Chrisland University, Abeokuta. Thank you for your thoughts on the program. It's good to see you again, Commodore.
Thank you.